Hello everyone, I'm Kathy Powers, Superintendent with the Twinsburg City School District. Welcome to Twinsburg Schools Today. It's hard to believe that we're already in the month of November. First quarter has passed us by and we're getting ready to switch from outdoor athletic venues to indoor venues. So many wonderful things happening in our school district. Today's show is going to feature two of our initiatives, and the first is going to be talking about our Chromebook initiative. With me today is our Supervisor of Innovative Programs, Mrs. Beth Mariola. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Powers. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So this is a new role for you in the district.
It is, and I'm so excited to be a part of this process and this exciting time in Twinsburg for our staff and students.
Right. So just last year, you were assistant principal at George G. Dodge Intermediate School.
Right.
And the Board of Education has been working behind the scenes to launch a Chromebook initiative for our students and for our staff. And there are so many things that have to happen before we even get to the point of putting Chromebooks into students' hands. So you've been very busy.
It's been a busy first quarter, and it will be for the whole fall semester. And we have been working to put the Chromebooks into the hands of all administrators and teachers and staff members in our district. At the high school level, the teachers all have them at this point, and we're working on lots of PD related, which is professional development related to how to use the Chromebook, how to use Google Classroom, some of the G Suite apps, and then also how to help change instruction through those extensions and applications.
Well, before we talk a little bit through all of that,
sure,
there's sure is a lot to talk about today.
Sure.
If I'm sitting at home and I'm a little bit removed from being in school, I may not know what a Chromebook is. So I see that you brought one.
I did. I brought some show and tell. This is our HP Chromebook. This is the device that will be in the hands of our 9th and 10th graders in January. And as I said, our administrators and staff members at the high school all have theirs. You can see that this looks very much like a laptop. The difference between a traditional laptop and Chromebook is that the Chromebook is loaded with our Chrome operating system only. So Chrome operating system, and it has very little memory, so that's the biggest difference. So to save anything to the hard drive of this, there's very little memory. You can use a USB and the USB ports over here to save things externally. But the idea behind this is to use the cloud, if you will, so saving it in the cloud so that everything's electronic, and that's what the benefit of a Chromebook is.
Little smaller than a laptop.
Little
maybe.
Smaller. This is very lightweight for our students to transport as well. About almost 2 pounds, and it's got an 11-inch screen. And the keyboard is really seamlessly integrated, so those are some of the nice upside features to this.
It's very compact.
It is. It is.
Well, so I know that since August, you have been very busy with the staff at Twinsburg High School and the administrative team.
Right.
And when we talk about introducing Chromebooks into our instructional practices in the school district, a lot has to happen in the background before we're ready to put these devices into the hands of our students. So what are some of the things that you have been introducing?
So what we've been doing is working our way through G Suite, which was formerly known as Google Apps for Education. And G Suite is all of our applications that we're using, like Google Classroom, Gmail, Google Calendar, all of the features that Google Apps for Education offers for our teachers and our students. And so first off, we were acclimating teachers as to what these are and the features. And many of our teachers have Google Classroom already up and running, so some of the families at home will already know what that looks like in terms of the interfacing. And then we are working our way through meeting every teacher where they are in terms of professional development. We have, teachers that are more well-versed and some that are just starting off, but it's not a one-size-fits-all professional development approach. We're trying to really reach out and meet everybody where they are.
And I know you've been sitting side by side with the staff.
Side by side, making one-on-one appointments and going into the classroom, and then sometimes helping to model what some of the instructional technology does and how to implement it within the classroom.
So can you give an example of maybe a lesson in a freshman classroom for which
Sure.
the Chromebook might be used?
Sure. One example, and I'll walk through the PD first, all the way into implementation for what it might look like. So one example, today, in fact, this morning, I met with a teacher to work on it's an extension through Google that called Screencastify, and what that is, it's like a little videotaping tool in which you can use your webcam, because these are loaded with webcams, so as the teacher, you can film yourself through your device and then flip the classroom. So if I want to do a mini lesson for my students, I can film my instruction and then push it out through Google Classroom. They can watch it at home and then, you know, respond to my questions or whatever the instructional piece to it is. So
Wow.
yeah, so we walked through the loading of Screencastify this morning, a little bit of a tutorial on how to use it, and then talking about how that might look for instruction for the needs for that particular class.
I know that some of our teachers at the high school, I'm thinking about Mr. Perinchek, one of our math department folks, has been flipping his classroom for several
Sure.
years now and using technology. And I believe our students really are benefiting from this, because instead of him lecturing in the classroom, they can actually listen to important points to some kind of lesson unit, and then come back the next day and be able to engage in a conversation having already gained that information.
Exactly. It's as if the classroom instruction is more of a lab in terms of learning, and you have your instructor there to answer any of those questions. We all know how much math has changed over the course of time in terms of the instructional parts to it. So families can watch together this video at home for the instructional piece to it, and you know, you can continue to rewind it as necessary and review it, and then come to school with your questions that you may have, and you have the instructor then live and in person to help you hands-on.
That's fantastic.
So that's one of the ways in which we'll use this.
Wow. So I know that we talk a lot in our district, as do most school districts in the country now, about preparing students for success in the 21st century. And we know that communication and collaboration are two of the big C's
Sure.
that we're focused on here in that preparation for successful lives. So how would you suggest the students would be able to use a Chromebook to enhance skills regarding communication and collaboration?
That's a great question. I feel the Chromebook does for our students will be to take the learning and make it happen outside of the classroom walls. So now learning can happen continuously after that final bell rings. They will be able to collaborate together. The Google platform, in terms of Google Slides, Sheets, Docs, it allows us to interface in real time as we're all on our, or I could be working on it simultaneously as you, and I can see the edits that you make, and so there is a revision history. So if something were to happen, you could go back and visit that document at an earlier time. But really, the collaboration piece allows us to work on documents at the same time outside of the school walls, and then also allow the learning to happen and take place after that final bell.
I hear a lot about Google Docs and Google Classroom.
Sure.
And so how are our kids using those two different strategies?
Okay. Google Docs would be like Microsoft's Word, but the benefit to Google Docs is that you don't have to continuously take a Word document and continue to email it back and forth.
Sort of like what I do.
Well, and what we've been doing to date, right?
Yes.
So now with Google Docs, it allows you to be on that same document and work together, and you can actually see who, you know, an initial will come up in a different color at the top. You can actually see who's interfacing. And as the owner of the document, I can provide it to specific individuals. I can share it out in a classroom. I can provide different rights, so you can either only view it or you can allow people to edit at the same time. So there are different interfacing facets to it as well.
Wow, that's an amazing thing.
It is, it is.
So we have our staff that is currently being professionally developed regarding the Chromebook. You've met with our administrative team, and you're helping us all along, making sure that our skills are polished too. The next step then is to engage our parents.
Right, on November 29th, that's a Wednesday at 7 o'clock at Twinsburg High School, we are going to invite parents to come in and get a little Chromebook 101. And what are these devices? We're going to talk about a little bit of the care of the device and what the expectations are for students and families, and then we will discuss some of the safeguards that we have in place for students. But we invite families of 9th and 10th graders in on that evening, November 29th again, for an open forum, and then we will conclude with questions that they may have.
Now, we were chatting before the show
Sure.
today how back in the day all children had textbooks that they took home, and this will somewhat replace the idea of a textbook in some sense. But it's a delicate piece of equipment too, and so some of the things that our students will need to know is how to manage them, right?
Mm-hmm. So a couple of things that we are going to do with that. These are durable devices, but yet delicate at the same time. You're exactly right. So what we will do is every child will get a bag to transport this to and from school and within the halls with. You know, the corners tend to be the most delicate, and the screen. So with that in mind, you know, using the bag, and we'll go over some of those elements at our parent night and with our students directly in the classrooms, so that they are well aware of how to take care of their device. Provide them with the ownership. They're going to travel. The device will travel with them through their next few years of school, and so it's important that they understand that this is their responsibility.
Right.
So
that's fantastic.
Yep.
So our parents will meet with us on November 29th,
Yep.
and then the first couple days of the second semester in January will be the time where the freshmen and sophomores will receive their Chromebooks.
You got it. Yep. In early January, we're planning to roll out to 9th and 10th graders at our high school.
Now, how will you go about the business of then helping our students? You've helped the staff, we'll be helping our parents. Next up will be the students.
Students, in terms of supporting students, prior to, again, I think a lot of the pieces happen beforehand. Prior to, we've already started the discussions of Chromebook 101, we like to call it, in terms of caring for their device, what it means to be a responsible user of the internet, things of that nature. And then once the Chromebooks are in their hands, it's really going to be a function of pushing into classrooms to help to continue the ever-changing support of the technology advances that we have in terms of extensions and apps through Google, and then circulating and being visible to be able to help support any student with those needs, and teachers as well.
Surely. Well, it's an exciting time.
It is.
And there has been so many things that have happened behind the scene as we get ready for January 2018.
There really have. And I'm really excited. I can't wait for to meet with parents and families, and then also to have these in the hands of our kiddos. So
it's so exciting.
Yes.
And we're so delighted that the Board of Education has provided the dollars to be able to
Most
support
definitely.
this brand new initiative here in the Twinsburg City School District.
Most definitely.
Well, thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. When we return, we're going to be talking with Ms. Lynn Villa and Mrs. Iwanda Huggins about an exciting new initiative throughout our school district. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Twinsburg Schools Today. The first segment of our show, we talked with Mrs. Beth Mariola, our Supervisor of Innovative Programs, about our new Chromebook initiative. And our second part of our show today is going to feature a brand new initiative called the Purple Star Award. And with us today is the principal from Wilcox Primary School, Ms. Lynn Villa. Welcome, Lynn.
Hi.
And an assistant principal from George G. Dodge Intermediate School, Mrs. Iwanda Huggins. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, so this is a new initiative, the Purple Star Award initiative. And for the folks who are watching our show from home, Iwanda, why don't you just share with us a little bit about what the Purple Star Award is and why did the district seek this award from the Ohio Department of Education?
Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Powers. I think we have 34,000 students in the state of Ohio who have some member of their family in the military. More likely, those members are serving actively. And I think one of the things in looking at that is trying to understand how that life impacts them. Our students, these 35,000 students, can deal with a lot of things being in that military, or being that military child. Many are taking frequent moves, moving from one state to another, making new friends, worrying about that family that's in the military. So the summer of 2016, a lot of stakeholders got together and said, okay, what can we do for these students in school to help them transition better and be supported? And from that came the Purple Star. The purpose of the Purple Star is to give schools an opportunity to exhibit some star qualities and things that they're doing to support those military families.
So in our school district, as of October, we had 89 children from 51 families who are in the military.
Right.
So that, from a district of 4,200 children, that's a pretty good percentage. And I know that working together as a school district, we determined that this was a district-wide initiative.
Absolutely.
And I know, Lynn, you have had such a positive impact in planning military-themed events and such at Wilcox. Why was this award important for you at the primary school?
Well, part of the process of applying for the Purple Star Award required each of the school buildings to have a liaison or a point of contact that would be the person who would educate themselves a little bit more about the challenges that our military children face. And so this past summer, one representative from each building participated in some professional development to learn a little bit more. And as you said, each of our buildings does something to support and honor our military veterans and our active military. But this process really kind of opened our eyes to some of the other things that our military children face, just moving from place to place, trying to find a place where you belong, even just having, when you move so frequently, you might not make friends very easily. You can't be involved in clubs or sports. You're worried about a family member who might be deployed. So that was so important for us to be able to look at those unique needs of these children and be able to address them. So part of that professional development for us was to go through a training called Ohio Military Children in Ohio Schools, and we learned a lot more about how these the military lifestyle might impact the children and their families. And then sharing that with our staff members and making sure that our teachers know who are the military-connected children in their classrooms, and then taking those next steps. So beyond what we do annually for our military events, it's more of a day-to-day support for our military children and their families.
And that's an important point, because we do, especially in the month of November, we honor and we celebrate all the great accomplishments of our military men and women in our community and thank them for their service to our country. But this really touches the child in the classroom and their family.
Absolutely. When military families join our school district, one of the things that is new this year that came from this process was having a way for us to identify them, because a lot of times we may not know. We just know that they're a new family who moved to the district. So when families come to our district and they do their enrollment on InfoSnap, on our online forms, there is now a place for them to designate themselves as a family who's connected to the military, and that would mean an immediate family member, parent, grandparent, or sibling who is in active duty or the reserves. So that's the first step for us. And it's really nice that we now know about those 89 children that are in our district that are connected, and then can offer them some support. On our website, there's now if you go onto the website and you look under parents, there's a drop down for military families, and there are resources available for them, things like tutoring, scholarship programs, free tuition for college, community resources, and connections to the Ohio Department of Ed website, which offers them a lot more to go to.
It's such a nice one place, sort of a one-stop shopping for our families who would visit our website because they're registering their children for school potentially, if they're military families, but also providing some resources for them moving forward. Now, I know we were chatting before the show that each of us have had military in our family, and I know, Ms. Huggins, that your husband was deployed soon after you were married, and it had its own challenges, I'm sure.
Sure. You know, being the person back home, I think one of the things that I talk to my military support system a lot is it's much harder for the family members back home holding down the fort, going day to day with the day-to-day routines and trying to keep the family together than it is for that person that's deployed. And I think this is one of the reasons why this initiative is so important. That mom or that dad that's there left with the family, left with the children, trying to get them to school, doctor's appointments, parent-teacher conferences. They need some way and a mechanism to get support, and I think the Purple Star is one reason for that. And it's also so important for staff members to understand Whether that means we're looking at how we're, even communicating with homework, knowing that this child may be thinking about things that may be distracting. And then also knowing how to support those families who are, again, here holding down the fort while mom or dad is away.
Right. So in each of our schools, all 5 buildings, there's a liaison. What would be the role of the liaison in this effort?
Liaison is the first point of contact for a family member or a student who would have concerns or questions. And so if a family member were looking on our website and wanted to find out who that person was, they could identify each person in the building. And then we would be able to, just talk to them, find out what their questions or concerns are, and then be able to connect them with some additional resources in our community or beyond if they needed something, needed some assistance.
So at this point, the district has applied for a Purple Star Award for each of our 5 schools, and we're awaiting the determination by the Department of Education.
Yes.
And we're very hopeful because I think that the website looks fantastic, and we'll have that here on the show today. So we're waiting for that, but also November is a month to remember and to be thankful. And I know that in both of your schools, as well as the other buildings in our district, we pay special honor to our veterans, particularly those that are affiliated with our post here in Twinsburg.
Yes, that's right. Joe Jasny has been a great connection for us in our community. And the whole VFW, we have a really nice relationship with the members of the VFW. They're in our buildings for career days. They come and they talk to the children. They do flag raising for us. And on Veterans Day, at least at Wilcox, we have a very big event. It's our biggest event of the year. Bring a veteran to lunch day. It's now in its 14th year.
Wow.
And we typically host about 150 active military and veterans for lunch that day. It starts at about 10:30 in the morning. It goes till about 2 in the afternoon. We set up the gym as a canteen with lots of photos and memorabilia, and the men and women of the military just like to sit and tell war stories. And then when it's their designated time, their Wilcox host or hostess will come and get them to go and have lunch in our cafeteria with them. And there's a little bit of a song presentation. My favorite part of the event is when the music for each branch of the military is played, and we ask those gentlemen and ladies to stand up when they hear their song. And there's not a dry eye in the room when that happens. So
They're so proud.
yes, we're really happy to have them too.
And our children are just so at awe that they come and have lunch with them and often wear their uniform still.
Yes, it is a really, really nice event, and often it's, for a lot of our children, the first exposure they have to military personnel, and so it's a good way to just start building that respect and honor.
Right. And then over at Dodge, I know that we have a new initiative this year that you're starting.
And that is, we'll be writing letters to our veterans at the Veterans Hospital. It's a great opportunity for us. We're reaching out to those men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and we're happy to be pulling that in. One of the things that we also learned through working with this initiative is the importance of making sure we're thinking about them all year, and I think that's the important piece. So really reaching out to those families, reaching out to our veterans, reaching out to their wives throughout that school year so that they have that support year-round.
I'm just really proud of this effort. I know that we have for many years been so blessed with the fact that Commander Jasny just makes sure that he's a presence in our schools, as well as the other men and women of our local post here. Even as far as our football games, they have the honor guard, and it's just such a special moment to see them out on Tiger Field there, and so very proud of who they are and what they represent for us. And I know we have many events throughout the month of November in celebration of the military, and I thank you for your efforts in making sure that our students understand the importance of thanking those who give back to our country in so many ways.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being a part of the show today, and I'm excited about hearing from the Department of Education. In the meantime, our families can check out the website where we have the military resources, as well as the liaisons' names listed. And should there be any other questions, I'm sure they can contact either of you.
Absolutely, that would be great.
That's wonderful.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Well, we have so many things happening in our school district. Veterans Day to celebrate. The Thanksgiving holidays are just a minute away, it seems. And of course, we're in the middle of the second quarter of the school year. Please check our district calendar for the latest and greatest events that we have in the school district. That is where the most up-to-date information is available at www.twinsburg.k12.oh.us. Before I leave the show, I just want to say thank you so very much for supporting our students and our staff and our community. It's a wonderful place to be here in the Twinsburg City School District. We are most grateful of your support. Have a great day.